and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be starting the new YouTube series called Yet Another Inventory System but Wait. This is part 1, and in part 1 we're going to be setting up the character and setting up a few things ready to get started with the actual inventory system. So let's get going. I'm using Unreal Engine 5.6, but this should work in any version of Unreal Engine 5. We're going to go to Games, First Person. I'm going to give it a name. I'm just going to call it YouTube Inventory Series. Create our game. While we're waiting for this to load, if you have any comments about the video, whether you'd like them long, short, whatever it may be, don't hesitate to put them in the comments below. So here we have it. We're now open. We've just got a basic first person template where we can jump, walk, do all the relevant things. Now we're going to be setting up our system. We're going to be using our own character. You don't have to. You can carry on using the first person character. You can use your own character you have in your game. But I'm just going to show, for the benefits of you that might be interested, how we can set up our own character using some of the first person character traits. But first of all, let's get ourselves organized. I like to make a folder, call it game. You can call it whatever you feel happy with. I also like to change its color, something so it can shine out above the rest, nice and purple. You can also add it to favorites. If you add it to favorites here, if you look on the left hand side, you've got a favorites tab. So if you're deep in the depths of some folder, you can just click on your favorite and it will open up your folder. Okay, so in here we're going to add quite a few folders. Some we will be using today, some we won't. So let's get going. First folder we're going to set up is Blueprints. The next folder will be, sorry, I'm just checking my artwork. Another folder, Meshes. Another folder, Data. I will go through what we're going to put in these as and when we get to them. Another folder, Fonts. Another one, Inputs. And another one, UI. So let's quickly run through what we're going to use these for. 3, 7, so artwork we're going to use for any imported artwork, such as icons for our inventory system. Blueprint, where we're going to put all our blueprints. Data is where we're going to hold various types of data, so it's easy to find. Fonts, where we can import our own fonts into Unreal Engine, so we don't have to use the default ones. And we'll show you how to do that as we get to it. Inputs, which are the controller inputs and anything to do with those. Meshes, any meshes models, 3D models we import for our game items, such as models of a sword or a donut, for instance. And UI is going to be where we're going to put one of our UI elements. Now, we're not going to bother with artwork today. We're going to look at our Blueprints folder. And in here, we're going to put quite a few folders. Again, some we're not going to use today. The first folder is going to be our character folder. The next folder is going to be core, where we're going to store all of our core game blueprints. Interfaces, I like to keep my blueprint interfaces separate. Again, up to you where you put them. And another new folder, parent blueprints. I like to keep them separate from any other game blueprints. So these are our 4 main folder that we're going to have in here. We're going to start with the character. We're going to make character, then we're going to fill them in later. So let's just make the classes first. So we're going to right click, go to our blueprint class, select character, and I'm just going to call it YouTube character. Up to you what naming convention you use. There is an official naming convention. You can find it online. If you're working with different devs or with a team of devs, and it will probably pay to find what is the naming convention they're using and stick with that, so everybody's on the same page. If you're a solo dev and you're always going to be a solo dev, you can use pretty well whatever you like, but it's good practice to try and get into some sort of naming convention. Okay, so that's all we're going to put in the character one. We'll go back to our core. In here, we're going to have quite a few. So to start with our blueprint, the first one we do is player controller. Make our player controller. And the next one we're going to do is our game mode base. And we're going to rename that to whatever you like. The next one we're going to do, you won't find it here, we're going to have to look at all classes, and it's going to be our HUD class. And we're going to call this HUD class, which helps us access and control anything on our HUD. There are many different ways of doing it, it's just a way that I prefer to do it. I do apologise if you hear any noises. I will try and get the traffic noise out during edit. And the next one we're going to look for is our last one, which is a game instance. Game instance. Game instance. Okay. Now we have these. Let's save them all. Make sure you save everything. Keep saving it, especially if you're using some of the newer versions of Unreal, just so you don't lose any work. So the first one we're going to open up is our game mode. But before we do that, let's make sure our level's using our game mode. So if you make sure your level is selected, go to your world settings tab. If you don't find it there, you can look in Windows and you can select it here. Look for game mode override, and we're going to use our game mode. And you'll see that will totally work because we're still using the same character. Okay? We haven't changed the character or anything in that. Okay, you look here, it's still using basic play. Okay, default form. So let's go in and open up our game mode. Now you see this is opened up in a separate window. I left it like this at the start of the project just to show people that if you don't want this and it annoys you, how you can stop this happening. So let's close this. We're going to go and edit our editor preferences, not project preferences, editor preferences. And in the first window you will see here the appearance, asset editor open location. We change that to main window. Go ahead and close them. And now if I open up our game mode, you'll see it just opens up as another tab, how we would like it. So in here we're going to look at the various things. For player controller class, we're going to use our player controller. HUD class, we're going to use our HUD. Default pawn class, we're going to use our character. And the rest we are going to leave as is, make sure we compile it. I always like to save on success only, so we don't have to keep remembering to save everything all the time. Once you've done that, you can close that. Then we're going to go and edit our project settings. We're going to go to our maps and modes, and you'll look at the very top here, default game mode. We are going to make it our game mode. And we're just going to check to make sure it's got everything in now. You'll see here it's got our player controller, our character, our HUD class. If we go way to the bottom, we see game instance class. We want to select our game instance. Go ahead and close them. It saves it automatically. You don't have to save. Now if we try and play, nothing happens because we haven't set any code up in our player. So we're going to go ahead and look at that. Now there's no point in reinventing the wheel. We can rewrite the code from scratch, but let's, for the sake of speed, let's copy and paste some of the code. Okay, but before we do that, we're going to open up our player controller. We go to our event graph. We're going to find our begin play here. We're going to right click and we're going to say, got the name of it, enhanced. Enhanced, get enhanced local player subsystem. And you'll get this node here, this great big fat node. Here. We want to check if it's valid, just to prevent any errors. Here. And then we're going to drag out of here and we're going to say add mapping context. Mapping context we don't have at the moment. We will go ahead and add that straight away. Let's neaten up these. So let's go ahead and do that. So we made a folder earlier on called inputs. But like I say, there's no point rewriting or reinventing the wheel. So we're going to go to the input folder from the original project, find the IMC default, and I'm going to drag it and drop it on inputs. Say copy here, don't move here, copy here, just in case we mess it up, we still have the original there. Then we can go to our inputs folder, and here it is. Let's rename it so we know we're using the correct one. I'm just going to prefix the default with YT underscore. Now we have that. Let's compile it, save it. We can set here in the mapping contents, and here you see that. So we're going ahead and using that. Okay, so also while we're here in the inputs folder, let's add a couple of inputs we're going to be using in our project. So IA for input, and we're going to call it toggle inventory. We'll do another one, find our input action, IA for input action, and we're going to call it interact. Okay. So what we're now going to do, we're going to edit our UTP. Let's make sure we save everything. We're going to edit our default IMC here. Here you already see it's got some jump, move, look. We're going to add another input mapping. And this I find I have to do in 5.6. I might be wrong, but I don't recall having to do this particular part in other versions of Unreal, but it works. So that if you find that your mouse isn't working, then just do the IA mouse look here. And make sure you set this to mouse, XY to the axis. we're going to need to add a modifier, and we're going to add the negate modifier, which basically reverses things. But we only want it on the Y, we don't want it on the Z and the X. We're going to add another mapping, and this will be our interact. Interact, we click on the little keyboard there, press the E key. I'm going to use the E for interact. We don't have to do anything else for that. Add another mapping, and this is going to be toggle inventory. And for toggle inventory, I'm going to use the tab key. Click it and use whatever key suits you or your project. That's all we have to do for the mapping, so we can make sure we save it, close it. We don't need that anymore. And we don't need our player controller anymore. So let's go back to our content drawer. And we are going to go to our blueprints, character. We're going to open up our character. We're also going to find the first person character. We're going to cheat a little bit, and we're going to take some of the code from here that we need in the other one. You can also look in them. What we're going to use is we're going to use the aim for the camera input. Could write this yourself if you wanted to, up to you. But for this project, I'm not going to bother. I'm just going to copy it. And we're also going to use the move one. So in our event graph here, we'll find the move, right click, copy. Do this before you move any of the others over, or else you'll get errors. Go to our player, right click on where it says function, paste function. Go back to third person, do the same with aim, copy. Right click on function, paste function. Compile it, make sure everything's all hunky-dory. We can close those two functions. And let's now move some of these functions over that we're going to be using to get ourselves moving. First, let's look at camera input. This one we're not going to use, but we'll bring these over, both of these over. Now, if you want the comment section, click on the comment, press your control key and select all of the ones we want. So it's these four here. For your thing, and I'm going to select the comment. You can right click and copy. Go to our YouTube account, find some blank space, click on it, Alt and V to paste. You can see there's no errors. Compile, make sure there's no errors, because we've already brought this function over. Now we're going to go to the movement. Again, we don't want the primary thumbstick. That's something they've done for 5.6. But we do want this, this, and this. We don't want to touch input, but if we do for your project, go ahead and select them also. Copy them. Again, find some blank space. Control and V. Again, compile, make sure we have no errors. And there should be our player set up. Let's give it a test. You can see now that we can move, we can jump, we can walk. Okay. Just make sure we are using the correct character. YouTube player controller, YouTube character, yeah. And if we look down, no, there is a problem. We don't see anything. There's no us. If that's what you like in your game, you can leave it entirely like that. But let's make him look a little bit better. You can see there is no mesh in here. We're going to use the first person mesh. So let's go to our viewport here. We're going to use this setup here. So first of all, let's go to the mesh. We are going to right click where it says transform, copy all properties, go to our character, click on mesh, right click, paste all properties, and you should see that jump down. Then we are going to go back to our character and our third person. We're going to find our mesh, which is Many Simple, by clicking on the little folder. And we're going to set that. And there you see it, there he is. We're going to go to our third person. We can see look at our anim class, ABP unarmed. Click a little folder to find it. Select that. Now we see he's animated. Compile that, make sure everything's okay. Now in this 5.6, they've actually done it as a true third person so that you see the shadow, so on and so forth. So we have a secondary mesh. Let's go ahead and add that. Again, if you're not using this or you're just carrying on with a third person character, you do not have to do this part. So you see we've got first person mesh and camera. So let's select both of those, copy, and we're going to paste them. First thing we're going to do is the first person mesh. We're going to parent to that mesh. Make sure the camera is parented. Make sure the camera has the parent socket of head. Okay. And you'll see this mesh is a little bit wrong. And if we look at the YouTube one, this is all 0, 0, 0. So we look at the first person one. So we're just going to blank them out, which gives us those. And it's already brought along the animation there. Camera's in the right place. Let's go ahead and play. You can now see we have a body, but we can sort of see inside ourselves. I don't like that. Up to you. What I'm going to do is move the camera forward a couple of clicks. I find it helps. There we go. We're not seeing inside our body. We can see if we walk, we can see that we are animating, we're jumping, and our character's all working as he should be. Okay, we're going to leave that here today. We've set up our character. We've set up our project ready for the next part. And in part 2, we're going to be adding some additional blueprints, and we're going to make a start on the actual inventory system itself. If you like the video, please like and subscribe, ready for the next one. If you want to contribute, I have a Ko-fi and a Patreon. Please follow those links. See you again next time. Bye.